Which had either of you watched this before now? Dave, I don't think you have.
I have not.
Jeff has.
I
hold
think
this
you
movie.
both have talked about it pretty fondly. So
this was one of the superhero movies of my childhood, which is like set me up for horror, really.
I've got thoughts. It's not often like a kid is like, yay, a body horror superhero.
Yeah. And incidentally, was it last? I think it was the week you were at Halloween Horror Nights, and somebody asked. I think it was Mac asked what hour we had a question and answer while you were gone. And they asked what our favorite genre was, and we both said body horror. It could have all started with the Guyver, or it could have maybe not started with it, but it certainly had an influence. Maybe, probably.
Probably.
I wish I was there so I could have said sexy nun horror is my favorite. Sexy midget nun horror, specifically.
All right. But first, before we get to the Guyver and Crazy Screaming Mad George, who I can't wait to talk about, we got to take care of some business. So I don't know that it's necessarily news that we're going to talk about, but what better setting to talk about these things than the news, because I didn't make it for any reason to not use it. So let's use it. If I can switch to it and it work right. Otherwise, we're not going to use it.
Do you remember how?
I'm going to switch to it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll switch back real fast to this and pretend that we didn't switch. And we'll fix it for YouTube later. We did it.
I got my newsboy hat.
You did it. Hold on. Let me fix your camera a little bit. Let me bring you up a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. I should have. Now the line in Discord is there.
All right.
Forgot that you had this. You're the prop. I owe you the science pin now. You're the prop guy.
Just a lamp here. I'm not smart enough to turn it on, so that lamp stays off. That's okay. I can't turn it on because I don't have the science pin. I don't know how electricity works.
I don't have the science pin anymore either, but I swear I had it the last time we podcast, so I don't know where. Possibly.
The world is doomed. The world is doomed. America's top scientist loses science pin. That's headline news for you right there.
I can't fact check anything anymore. It's over. But Dave.
So,
Newsboy Dave. Why don't you start us off?
I don't know if I would call it news, but I'm going to lead off with our last episode 2 long weeks ago was our music episode. And so just to recap, since then I've been hardcore. I listen to a lot of shit. I'm a pretty eclectic listener. 3 main musical acts have dominated rotation for me. Alice Cooper. I did listen to the entire Brutal Planet straight through, as the artist intended. Jackie likes to teach me that you should always listen to the album straight through, as the artist intended.
Yes.
The Darkest of the Hillside Thickets. I am totally into this right now. This is super radical. Thank you, Jeff, for turning us on to that. And Journey.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, I've been jamming out to the journey. So,
I never thought that we would get to talk about Brutal Planet so much on a podcast in my entire life. So the fact that 3 people...
neither did Alice Cooper.
You're not wrong. What'd you think of Brutal Planet, Dave? Having known Alice Cooper before Brutal Planet, going into Brutal Planet, what were you like? How come? Why this?
No, for me, it is very Alice Cooper. It's more late Ozzy Osbourne mixed with some Alice than it is old Alice. But I like it. I like it a whole lot.
I love that album.
So, and that's not the only Alice I've been listening to. Like I said, I did listen to Brutal Planet straight through, but then I just jammed on the This Is Alice Cooper on the music listening application that will not be named because they suck balls. If you don't want to suck balls, whatever your app name, then you maybe should take care of small-time creators when they putting shit on there. Not fucking us over.
Preach. Wakanda forever. So why Journey? Because you saw him live? You're feeling the journey?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was jamming out for the harder stuff, and I did some zombie too, and stuff like that. And then I just was like, I'm gonna bring it back down for Stella, and Journey's what I landed on. So we rocked some Journey a couple days on the way home.
Separate ways?
Yeah, separate ways too, but that's not the best thing in the world. But
Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Guess what? In 10 years, you're going to have World War II, newsboy. How you going to deal with that? Your wages are going to be cut and you're going to be sent to war.
World War I was the war to end our wars.
It wasn't, though. That's the thing.
The newspaper told me. Germany is our friend now.
Idea, guys. We do a movie based on a middle-aged gentleman who is trying to get out of going to war in World War II, dresses himself up as a newsboy, money printing machine, or have I had too many shots?
I think it's great. If I can drop a little Visine on my cheek and make a little tear.
Oh yeah. Jeff, can you write that script for us, pro bono?
Yeah. Can you have that done by next week?
A treatment, just a treatment. You don't gotta go the full bore.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds good.
We're gonna do this as you tell it to us. Why weren't you wearing that the whole time, Jeff? Everybody's got better props than me this week.
Nice.
I'm offended. In a good way. In a good way. But Dave, any other great things you want to talk about that's happened in the last 2 weeks? It feels like it's been a month, honestly.
It feels like it's been forever. I couldn't remember if we did it. Did I do a podcast back in the day when I was younger? When I was a young man? When I was a young man,
My father
I had a little podcast.
made me listen to a podcast.
Also seemed like the first time in a long time, Stella and I went to the movies. We watched the Halle Berry's movie, directed by Alexandra Aja, Never Let Go. So,
New to me.
remember
What is this?
Alexandra? It's
I know the name. What has he done?
The Hills Have Eyes remake,
Oh,
Crawl. Yeah,
just-
he's been
yeah.
around. He's got some good ones. He's got some bangers,
Yeah.
as the kids like to say. So Halle Berry is living in a cabin in the middle of nowhere with her 2 twin boys, and she has raised them to know that there's evil has destroyed the world. They are the only ones left, and the evil is evil and shapeshifts and plays tricks on you. And the boys have never seen the evil, just she has.
Okay.
But they're safe as long as they stay in their house or connected to the house via ropes. So she's got these long ropes that they tie around their waist while they go into the forest to hunt and scavenge for food.
Okay.
And it plays on the trope, it is tropey, of is she crazy or is she not?
Right.
And I thought it was very tense. I thought it was very well acted. I thought it was very well done. And
Okay.
so I give a lot. I thought it was
There you
good.
go. Jeff, do you have any news? Any things you've been watching, listening to, reading?
Listen to some audiobooks.
We
started
got.
listening to Game of Thrones.
Oh, cool. How is that so far?
That's really good.
Nice.
Very well read.
Did you watch the series?
I did. The series
Okay.
is really good.
Okay.
The book is
did.
really good too.
So is it better doing the audiobook after the series, or do you wish you had done it the other way around?
Kind of wish I would have listened to it and then watched the show. It's
Mhm.
been a while since I started it, so
Right. Who reads those? Is it somebody? Is it one of the big audio book reader guys?
Gilbert Godfrey.
Nobody in particular.
Yeah.
Ned Stark. That was. I had no business trying to go for a Gilbert Godfrey impression, but I did. Thanks, Old Crow Whiskey.
May he rest in peace.
It gave you the courage. Gave you the courage.
Did you ever hear his real voice? By the way,
That's not his real voice?
no, it's not. He has like a real voice. It's you got to scour the internet, but it's there. He left. There's a couple places like interviews that he's done where he is out of that voice, and it's so weird. He just sounds like a normal guy. It blows my mind whenever I come across it. Every couple years I'll see it. But anything else other than the audiobooks? What are you rocking?
That's
That-
about it.
That's about it. And the glasses.
Yeah, and the cloud. I had my kids this week.
It looks like you're cosplaying as Humpty. Do the Humpty dance is your chance doing the hump.
Do me, baby.
I don't know this song, but
Oh, ladies, you know I'm in charge. Both how I'm living and my nose is large. I get stupid. I say a word that don't mean nothing like lupid. I sang on Do What You Like. In case you missed it, I'm the one who said just grab him in the biscuit.
is this Slipknot?
I'm
Who is
crazy.
this?
Allow me to amaze thee. They say I'm ugly, but it just don't faze me. I'm still getting in the girls' pants, and I even got my own dance. Do the Humpty dance. It's your chance of doing the hump.
Humpty Hump. Is that the next line?
That is the next line.
It felt right. It felt right. Don't want to brag or nothing, but I've wrote a song or two in my day. That just felt right.
So I know, Chris, you got some big news. Let me throw two other shows.
I wouldn't say
we watched
big
real
news.
quick.
It's not big news.
Okay, well, you got the best news because you're actually participating in life.
Well, for the first time in a minute.
Stella and I also bought on Vudu and watched at home. Never Let Go, or no, we watched Never Let Go in the theaters. Speak No Evil.
That's called
Which is a
Titanic in the
remake.
States, I think.
Oh, yep. It's called Get Over, Bitch. Let me on that door. But Never Let Go is Speak No Evil. Good Lord, am I having a stroke? Is the James McAvoy movie. It's a remake of like 2003, I think, Irish movie.
Really?
And James McAvoy is the dude is a great actor. One of the best of our generation. So he is phenomenal, a national treasure, and you know, his portrayal of the professor aside, I would say. But
I liked him as he's the only thing that I really liked of the X-Men movies that he was in, was him. And who's the Magneto? What was that guy's name? He was okay. I just didn't like the movies. But anyways, superhero.
I like that Wolverine character from that storyline better than the Wolverine from the other storylines. So, but better actor than like the other Wolverine actors. And then the other thing, we are currently watching on Hulu, Grotesquerie, starring Niecy Nash-Betts. Wow is all I've got to say. Bizarre. I'm not sure what's real and what's not. Niecy is an amazing actress, and she's always my brain ties her to Reno 911. I mean, she was so funny in that. She's such a good character in that. And then here she is, a detective, with a drinking problem, hard-boiled detective with a drinking problem. But she's such a good actress. It is great. Travis Kelce has been in the last 2 episodes, and
I was going to ask about that because scrolling through TikTok, every now and then, Travis Kelce's like, on FX, the new Grotesque thing. I'm like, why are you selling me on this? I assume a horror show. Why are you? Yep. Get away from me. Get away from me. Listen, I'm not even in that radar. That Venn diagram of like Taylor Swift and Kelsey's and all that, I am so far removed from that. They're pulling my Venn diagrams over into theirs right now, and I don't like it. But he's in it, though. So that makes me feel a little better. He's not just paid to promote a thing that doesn't have nothing to do with him, which is what I thought.
No.
Okay.
Before it came out, I was scrolling on the news feed one day, and I saw a news story that was like, Niecy Nash-Betts has thoughts about Travis Kelce's behavior on the set of Grotesquerie, and I was like, here we go. This knucklehead's probably fucking grabbed somebody by the, whatever. And I opened it up, and Niecy Betts was like, Travis was such a good gentleman on the set. He works really hard. She said a lot of times when you get an athlete or someone who's a celebrity for another reason coming into acting, they don't really put the effort into the craft. He's not a great actor by any means. I'm not saying that, but she said he works very hard. He's very professional. Shows up on time, knows his lines, hits his marks. But yeah, clearly he's not a professional actor, but the show is just fucking bizarre. Example, and this is the only example I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Niecy Betts, Lois Tyron, something like that is her name. Her husband is like this author / college professor of philosophy dude, and he's well regarded for his big brain, but he's in a coma thanks to COVID, and she goes in to see him at the hospital, and this weirdo nurse who is like from the 1950s is jerking him off, And she's like, "What are you doing to my husband?" And she tries to walk away, and Nisi follows her, and she's like, "You better go back to him. He hasn't ejaculated yet." And it's just like, what the fuck is this? And then it gets bizarre after that. So there's a religious themed killer on the loose, reenacting these weird tableaus, and she's trying to track him down. So, with the help of a weird fucking nun and a weird fucking priest, and between Stella and I, we don't know which one's weirder, the nun or the priest.
You never can tell.
Probably the priest. Probably the priest.
Yeah. Jeff, can you get like in this position and say, "Let me look on you with my own eyes"?
Is that better?
Yes. And go.
Let me look with you on my own eyes.
Oh yes.
Gimme.
And
No.
scene.
Oh,
Jeff,
come on.
you nailed it.
Nailed it.
What kind of $1 million Darth Vader helmet do you own? This is amazing. Does it have a voice changer in it? Hold on. We gotta see the combination, the full. That is the coolest helmet I think I've ever seen.
That is very cool. Very cool. Can you see colors that don't exist?
No.
Is your vision augmented? Or can you barely see out of it?
It's kind of blurry. I think he's kind of rubbed his hands all over the lens.
Oh.
So.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is it in there?
About a 6 right now.
Your breathing's getting heavy.
Not horrible, but
Much cooler than I thought it was going to be.
I wish I had a name tag ready to change, and I just put Vader.
Jeff Vader.
Um,
My name is Vader.
Now they have to undo what they've done. Well, he does that. I'll regale you with, so, went to visit, my stepson in Evansville, visit his family this last week. That's why there was no show last week. He took me to a really cool place called Secret Headquarters in Evansville, which I didn't know anything about. It's like a collectible store, comic store, figures, arcade stuff. Walking in, they got the comics there, the big bins of comics like you would see anywhere. And speaking of the man himself, I see a giant thing of Superman. So I kind of like point at it to my wife. I'm like, let's get this. No part of me is serious about this. Go on down the line. They got a lot of wrestling figures, different wrestling things. They have a signed Kenny Omega, who is my boy. He's my wrestler, for $80. And I'm like, okay, maybe. That's a good maybe. I go around, and when we were at Horror Hound, Dave, I showed you the Hangman Adam Page wrestling figure that came with the little picture, and I'm like, yes. But that wasn't the one I was after. I was after him in his wrestling gear with the picture. They had that, so I was like, I may get this. That may be what I get today. So I got that. Or no, I didn't. I did get that, but long story, come back around. We're looking around the rest of this. They got so much cool stuff, video games and all this. And horror stuff as well. They got all kinds of, more of the collectible side, not the current, like, Spencer's of Art the Clown everywhere. But
Wait, Owen, come here.
I go around and come back, and my wife is like, you gotta come up here. So I go up to the counter. She has made the owner go get that crate, that whole box of Superman comics, take out the duplicates, and give her a price. So I got 150 Superman comics from about 87 to 95-ish. A lot of the Death of Superman Funeral for a Friend stuff is in there for really cheap because they're closing down, so they were selling everything at a discount. I got Kenny Omega autographed at a discount, and I got the Hangman Page at a discount. They're awesome. If you're around Evansville, go there before they're gone. They're going to an online thing. They were super cool. It was the coolest store you could imagine.
Well, put them up on the chat. Put them up on the chat.
I'll have to check for if they have a website between segments. But he also took us to another. I forget the name of this other place that we went to, but it was a more of a chain place, but like not quite like a. It was like wall to wall movies almost. It was crazy the amount of DVDs and Blu-rays that were here. I was looking for the Lord of the Rings extended editions on Blu-ray, which I could not find. I could only find the previous versions that had trailers for them. But I did get a Henry Cavill pop vinyl, which is pretty cool. He's the only Superman I could find in the whole store. They had about 4 million pop vinyls, but that was the only Superman that I could find. But that was okay. That was okay. I got my Superman fill and Kenny Omega. Last thing, and I'm done, and we can get to the Guyver. I talked a few weeks ago about Junji Ito, the Japanese manga.
Bless you.
That's a well, look. But I finally got one of his books. And I'd show it to you, but it's hard to. I don't know that it would come across the right way. I don't know if you know this about some manga books, but you read them from back to front and from right to left. I had no idea about this. I mean, I had some idea about this, but like actually trying to read a book that way is like a couple times I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about right now? And then I'm like, oh, I'm reading it wrong.
It breaks your brain a little bit.
There's been a couple times, but then it becomes weirdly like second nature. But every now and then I'll lose it because I'm stupid. But it is. I cannot. I've read like maybe a quarter of I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Tomei. That book, and it is really good. Like manga horror. It is great. So recommend that. Got a couple more coming. That I can't wait to get into, but I'm gonna finish this. Yeah, but been waiting to read his stuff for a long time. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely recommend it. I don't know if I guess there's a show or some kind of a thing that's on Adult Swim now, or maybe Max. Maybe both. Maybe both actually. I don't know if those are good, but his book.
Well, I think Adult Swim feeds to Max.
I think you're right. But the book, 10 out of 10 so far. I am super impressed because you'll read these panels that are kind of, the art's kind of basic, but then you'll get to a horror moment and he puts like every bit of detail he didn't put in those other ones into that, and you're like, it kills. It's so good. And it's hard to like not want to look forward into those moments because you'll go several pages without like a horror moment, and then when you get to one, it's like this like weird body horror, cosmic horror kind of craziness, and you're like, whew. And it's
very cool.
It's cool. It is cool shit. I cannot recommend it enough. But for now, I think that about does it. Any other things you guys want to talk about before we talk about the Guyver? And I don't know why I do that.
Jeff, did you want to talk about the pedestrian you ran over? Wait, I wasn't supposed to talk about that.
Never happened.
That's it. Let's go. Let's get
And
out
here
of
we
this newsroom.
We're already out. But now, let's talk about some Guyver, fellas.
Jeff, I sympathize for you wearing that Vader mask because I'm torched wearing a fucking hat for 20 minutes.
I'm wearing fucking headphones, nothing essentially, and 7 times during that whole segment I'm like wiping sweat off my body. Why summer wasn't like this? It doesn't have to do with the alcohol, internet. Piss off. Here's your spoiler warning. 1991. Maybe even a little prior to that, for the anime, the manga. It kind of goes into that a little bit, but you should know about the Guyver by now. If you don't, get to it. Come back later.
Like me. I had never seen this. You guys talked about it. And then like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. I trust your guys' opinion most of the time. So it was very interesting to actually see it. But, guys, we got a tradition around here. It's Jeff's pick. So Jeff needs to give us the back of the box summary.
It was Chris's pick.
Oh, it's Chris's pick. Chris needs to give us the back of the box summary.
I don't got my eye spectacles with me. I do wear contacts. But still, my eyes are pretty shitty. I'll give you the actual back of the box for the first time ever, because this just came out a couple months ago. This is the 4K Guyver. Way too expensive for what it is, but the fact that it exists at all makes it worth it, which is kind of a goofy premise, but in this thrill-a-minute action adventure, Sean Baker, Jack Armstrong, is a college student who discovers the Guyver. There's a lot of these. An alien mechanical device that merges with his own body, turning him into a super powerful cyborg fighting machine. The device belongs to Kronos, an evil corporation, something, and then kung fu fighting and horror monsters. I'm not reading the rest of that. There was so much still to go. Let me present you guys with this. The only thing I have wrong with the monsters in this movie, and the effects in general, not wet. They're not wet, they're pretty dry. But it is kind of, in a way, geared more towards a younger audience. Even though it's like pretty gory. But if they'd made those effects, if they slathered on the KY, this would have been up there with From Beyond, I think, for me, effects-wise. But
I didn't know what to expect, and so right off the bat, when the scientist first transforms, which, like, is he a zoonoid? He didn't have the Guyver device. Like, why did he transform? But he did.
Maybe we all got a little zoonoid in us.
Keep the zoonoids alive in your heart. So, but it was super cool. And then, like, again, I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu fighting. You know how big a fan I am of Kung Fu fighting. This really felt like a horror street level version of the Power Rangers.
Yeah. I think this even predates the American Power Rangers, but like Super Sentai, I think it could have. I watched a little bit of the commentary for for the 4K that had Screaming Mad George and the other director, because it's a 2-director project. I forget the other guy's name. My apologies. We're not that researched of a podcast. We're pretty laid back. We don't care that much. So, who was it?
Steve Wang.
Oh, there you go. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had not long before this come out, so that kind of influenced their approach to the Guyver. So they kind of started to push it at some point more towards a kind of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles attitude, which I can kind of see. Rather than a more violent, more visceral, gory thing that I think it probably started out as. And it did start out as in the original versions of the Guyver. But it certainly... If this had been more accessible, I think, in the early 90s, God, the Guyver could have been up there with the Power Rangers. But it seems so forgotten. It seems so forgotten that I don't get it. But Dave, continue. I want to know more about what you thought.
You know, that's my thought. It's street level Power Rangers with that horror, body horror element to it. But I know it's technically 90s. It's a totally 80s vibe though, with the karate dojo where the nerd boy's training.
Yeah.
I'm if you didn't know that yet, I'm kind of dumb sometimes because I was totally like, oh man, it's Big Lock's Luke Skywalker. No, it's Luke Skywalker. It kind of star-studded in a way, in a bizarre way.
Yeah,
like a lot of B guys, but
Jeffrey Combs.
Right, Jeff. Yeah, that blew my mind. Saw him as the scientist.
The bad guy from
Walker.
Dynamite. The main guy from Reanimator. The main bad guy. I forget his name. My apologies.
Good Gale.
Is the main bad guy in this, which is...
Yep.
There is some horror cred. I mean, Screaming Mad George, sorry for punching the microphone, was and is a special makeup effects guy. I think Nightmare 4 or 5 was like one of his big special effects movies. And
Tony Cecier did some of the special effects for this. So,
this is
Michael Berryman.
Effects. Yes.
Michael Berryman.
Who's got some Riz? Michael Berryman's throwing down some Riz in this movie. He is with the Muscle Mommy. That wasn't even a term in 91. We just were like, in 91, I don't even want to say what we probably thought she was. That was a different time. We weren't brought up that way. We weren't educated
her name is
properly.
Spice. Her name is Spice Williams.
And she
inspire the development of the Spice Girls?
This universe could go hard with the Daviverse attached to it. So, we'll have to see. But the Mark Hamill thing, to go back to that for a second, I wouldn't say always, but at least for the recent present, that a lot of the promotion for the Guyver, like DVDs, anything like that, for this movie, has really featured him, kind of like Trick or Treat with Ozzy and Gene Simmons, even though they had bit parts. Yep. I mean, he had a little bit more than a bit part, but
sure.
They will show, like, literally, if you can see this, here's the Guyver helmet. There are previous versions of this on the Blu-ray and DVD where half of it's gone and it shows Mark Hamill's face instead of the guy who's the actual Guyver. And it's like, somebody's going to buy this thinking Luke Skywalker's some fucking futuristic Power Ranger guy, and they're going to be sorely, sorely mistaken. But, I mean, what'd you think of Mark Hamill in this? Let's just go there. How'd you feel about his... Sorry, I fucked the screen up for a sec. How'd you feel about his detective? Police? Skywalker? that he was. I mean, he was a good guy, but at the same time, he felt kind of aloof and not as good as he could have been.
He's the no nonsense, like hard boiled detective that plays by his own rules. Let's hear from Jeff. Jeff, what did you think about Mark Hamill's role in this?
I felt like he was like the best actor in the entire. Compared to everyone else here, comic style, he was more serious mostly to the film.
I thought David Gale too. Him and David Gale played their roles pretty straight. David Gale chose some scenery in this, so they played pretty straight, and everyone else was kind of over the top. So
yeah.
Which I think kind of makes for a neat dichotomy when you have one or two people that really just they go for it and everyone else is just cheesing along. It makes a neat contrast for me. So
it sounds like the commentary listening to the two directors talking about it. They were just like fuck it, we'll do this. We'll do this. It didn't seem like that serious of a thing that they were trying to attempt. Like, I don't think I once heard them say, we're looking at this manga and we're going to completely bring it to American audiences. I don't think they even mentioned the comic one time or the anime, which is, maybe not the route, but it was 91. It was a different time.
I want to know who came up with the name for the device. Is this something that was lost in translation? Because it's
maybe
the name sucks. This might have gone a lot further if the name was better. I mean, you already in the 90s, everyone knows MacGyver from the 80s, and so then it's the Guyver. It's like,
I like the name. I don't know what you're on about. I will delete this episode right now. Do not put
your job was to name the device. The device, the device that the guy transforms with. The Guyver. The Guyver.
If that scene was in the movie, you would love the name.
Yeah.
So you shut up. It's great.
He said the thing. I wouldn't have loved it, but I would have said, he said the thing. He said, honey, did you see that? He said the thing.
You're right. Fair. You're fair. Oh shit, I did actually write a box art description, or a VHS box description. I'll just say my first part. Oh no, you got gore in my Power Rangers.
There we go. I don't want to jump to 2, but 2 definitely the first 40 minutes of it that I got to watch. It goes harder. It goes harder with the fight. It goes harder with the body horror. The first time he transforms in the second one, it's like he's crying out in pain even. It really lays it on. So
2 is supposed to be the better movie. I don't know one way or the other because I've watched 2, but I'm too far removed from it. I've only maybe watched it once. Jeff, have you ever watched 2?
No, I've not watched 2.
Maybe next season we will be doing 2 because I'm curious. Is it better? I don't know. I have watched the latest version of the anime, which is probably like 15 years old now at this point. And it was great. It was so great. It was great. Has not a lot to do with the movie. But you can see where the movie took, but like the body horror in anime and manga is crazy at times. And this is what really showed me that. And now reading the Junji Ito stuff, it's like, and can I just inject this into me because I want more of this? I need more of this. Show me people ripped apart at a cellular level in comic form. Go. and they can do it. It's weird. It's great. And the last series of the Guyver, I don't know why this isn't a series that they've kept up with and tried to push forward on us more, because I think it's great. It's got so much premise. Superheroes and horror. We got The Boys, which is like this, dark superhero kind of thing that's really going hard. A superhero thing that's dark with horror and gore. The Guyver would kill right now. Give us a shot. Jeff will write it. Dave will be the Guyver. I'll be just the unit, Dave. You're just going to act as the unit of the Guyver. I'm sorry.
I want to be the fighter. What?
Okay.
You do not think I know how to fight? Then you will die.
And
I want to be... All my speaking parts, the audio is off just about half a second.
We can do this.
But no one else is in the movie is like that.
We're going to get to the ratings, and I'm going to be like 12 out of 10, and you guys are going to be like, I don't know, 2, 4, something. And I'll be like, oh, okay.
Disappointment.
Any other aspects of the movie you want to talk about? I mean, we kind of hit my major parts. I could talk about this movie hard. The elbow fucking weapon was the coolest thing I saw when I was about 91. What would I have been? 7, 8, 9, 7? I don't know.
Sounds good.
Somewhere
I
around
didn't
there.
think he didn't always use them to great effect, but then
He was
that
new here.
happens in movies. Like
He was
you have to
the new kid.
learn your powers a little bit. You can't.
I'd never seen anything like that, though. That fucking blade coming out of his elbow, I'm like, that's the coolest weapon probably ever.
In it too, he gets a laser beam from his fucking eye thing.
Yeah.
So.
And did you like the foreshadowing of his chest? His what was it? What is the Optimus, the Matrix of leadership or whatever it was from the Transformers? Teasing the open, but it doesn't get used until the final boss fight. Tropey, yes, cool. Kind of.
It's also used in the cartoon. I did watch some clips from the 1989 series, and one where he opened up and was just like blast, 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 blast. Mm-hmm. So,
Jeff, have you watched any other versions or seen any other versions of the Guyver other than the movie? No. Okay.
No.
They're cool. Dave, continue. I cut
They're
you
on the YouTube. They are on the YouTubes. So
Jeff's like, I don't care.
The creature design was cool. The J.J. Walker and
Dynamite.
Yeah, some of them were. J.J. Walker was definitely played for the comic relief, but I thought his creature looked cool. I thought the one with the fur was kind of cool.
I thought most of them were cool. I think.
Yeah, I thought they were all pretty radical. I just need to see at least one on a skateboard at some point. I need to see the Guyver and one of the Zoanoids in a chase down what's that one fucking hill in San Francisco? I need to see them full speed chasing and fighting on skateboards, and my life will be complete.
You're speaking my language. Jeff, write that into our script. That sounds hot. That'll sell tickets. The Guyver 2027 coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, that could be the cold.
If we can afford to rent that theater.
If you can't work it into the plot, that'll be the cold open. They just are going down this hill on skateboards, no explanation, just bam, bam, ching, 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 jump over a car, land back on your skateboard, ching, 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 ching.
Dog.
Yeah, dog.
He can be a stunt actor. But I mean, this was prior to Power Rangers. I mean, we had Turtles at the time. Being a kid at the time, me and Jeff are the same age. I didn't know that till last week or 2 weeks ago. You're like, did you know each other before you started the podcast? David, me and Jeff are recent. I mean, not recent, but like we're still building our bridges, man. But so, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. We kind of had the Turtles.
Yes.
And then kind of had the Guyver kind of in between that before Power Rangers became a thing. So that was kind of the I don't somewhere in between there. I think Batman the Animated Series started, which I don't feel like falls into this. It's not that in this area. But those three, the first three, really kind of go together in a way. That
Yeah.
If there was one single Power Ranger that had that fucking elbow blade that the Guyver had, he'd have been every person's favorite. I guarantee it. Whoever owns the Paramount, kids would have got so hurt with that. It'd been great. It wouldn't have been great that they got hurt, but like just the fact that to acknowledge how cool of a weapon that is would have been cool for me. Because oh my god. The imaginary fights we had with elbow blades as children.
Screaming Mad George would have been like, "There's no such thing as bad publicity."
It's funny how the monsters go in between the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers, where most of the time they're just talking, but their mouths aren't moving. And then they do some scenes where their mouths are moving. It's like, oh, okay.
Like sometimes they're approaching serious, and sometimes they're absolutely like this slapstick kind of like, we'll get them next time.
Yeah.
And it's, you can see where they were already like at work on the movie before somebody was like, hey, George, we got word of this thing called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We want you to kind of change direction a little bit and go more, let's have some fun with it, George. He's like, first of all, my name's Mr. Screaming to you. I think there's still money in this franchise if they would put the shit into it, put the effort into it. I literally want more Guyver. I want to be able to buy all of the Guyver stuff, but it's hard to come by, and I mean. Like 10, 15 years ago, I was looking to get the mangas. But like you had to talk to some weird guy on a message board, and I was like, do you sell these? He's like, absolutely, I'm your guy to get the Guyver series. And I'm like, never mind. And now, I mean, I don't know where you would get. I would love to have them though, in English. So if you're going to send them, please do that. Welcome, Tim. Welcome. Not Yu-Gi-Oh! Not Yu-Gi-Oh! The Guyver. Any other words before we get to our overall opinion on the Guyver?
How disturbing is the Mark Hamill transformation at the end?
Yeah.
That was more body horror even than the Guyver transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And the fucking shit
Yes.
coming out of his mouth, and when his ankles, because he kind of, like, they stage him so he's hiding everything, but then his ankles are sticking out, and they just break and fucking bend in ways that...
This was definitely, parts of this were definitely before they got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle direction. They're like, we've got this whole like American Werewolf in London kind of setup for Mark Hamill, and we got to make this for kids now. It feels like a lot of this movie is kind of, like fix this so kids can watch it, and it's like,
what the heck?
They spent so much money on his transformation, they didn't have enough money for it.
Yeah.
No, we should. It's too expensive to do.
Also, a couple years earlier before this was Return of Swamp Thing or Swamp Thing Lives, the one with Heather Locklear. which was super B tier, like maybe not even that. It may have been D tier because that movie was garbage, but it was so fun. The same premise. You got this hero that's decked out in this garbage, very dudes in suits and fighting. Also, and Swamp Thing Lives, or the Return of Swamp Thing. I don't know I think it may have a couple names. Forgive me. He gets obliterated at one point, blown up, like the Guyver, and then at another point is put back together, comes back, and it's like, oh, it's like it didn't even happen. It's like we've been kind of wasting time. It's like this was a plot point to just make your movie long enough. Screaming Mad George, did you watch Return of the Swamp Thing? Because I feel like we've been here before.
If there's the one thing I wanted, at one point when the Zoonoid is like, oh, he's inside, when he swallows the device, and he's like, oh, and then he dies, and the Guyver cuts himself out of the body and comes out. I really wanted to spend some time with Minnie the Guyver. Like, I wanted that so bad. Like, how cool would that have been? Just Minnie Guyver going around fucking slicing up ankles and shit.
That'd been cool. We needed Deadpool to happen before we got the proper Minnie Guyver, so you could get the baby arms and shirt cocking. Is that what it was in the one Deadpool movie? he's shirt cocking it.
Old Porky Pig.
Anybody else catch Jeffrey Combs' name in the movie?
Yep, he was one of the scientists in the.
Yeah.
Why didn't he have a bigger part? Maybe he was just busy at the time, because he certainly beats out a lot of these actors.
But his name was Dr. East. Yeah, and he played Dr. Herbert West. So I was like, that's funny. He did it like that. Like, oh.
I did not catch that.
Him and the main bad guy, whose name I never will remember. Barbara Crampton's best friend from Reanimator. Just them alone is enough to bring Reanimator fans on. You got to watch the Guyver. If you're a fan of Reanimator, you have to watch the Guyver. It is required viewing for you. Because your guys are in it, man. Get in there. Any other final words before we get to the... Oh, Tim was talking about elbow blades. He was not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! He was talking about the elbow blades. His Guyver elbow blades, different level. They're for murder of monsters.
Yeah.
And gang members.
Yes, the
also,
open for Dark Hero is really cool. He obliterates them fools. He kicks one dude and breaks his fucking knee. He's smashing heads. He's breaking spines. He don't break arms and legs, just necks and backs. It is so fucking good.
So
he learns how to fight in the second one.
It's a different actor as the Guyver this time.
Yeah.
Oh, they got rid of that guy, who I was kind of okay with. He was pretty goofy, inept, whatever kind of a guy. So when he gets the armor on and is like kicking ass, it feels like, it made a difference. So if it's, I don't know if it's a better actor. I'm just really sticking up for the first one right now, kind of ignorantly, but that's how these things go. But
in our remake, when he first gets the device, he's going to get his ass kicked, and he's going to luck into a victory, and then spend some time. It's like, where's the 80s montage? I know we're out of the 80s here. I don't want to fucking beat this to a pulp here, but we're out of the 80s. But you still can do a nice 80s montage of training, like waiting in the alley, like beating up trash cans, practicing his moves.
You know what? I'm down for it. Jeff, put that in the script.
Yep. Shoplifter, he's just like stab. It's like, oh, I killed him.
Not like the first time the shoplifter runs into his elbow, he's like, fuck! And then like another time or two, it only comes like out like an inch, and the guy ducks away and runs. He's like, "Fuck!" But like the third time, it comes out like the whole like 2 feet and like impales the guy. He's like, "Did it? Got it."
There you go.
Like
Over the top.
That would kill. That would kill.
Keep holding up boards. 10 out of 10. Oh my god!
Hollywood, if you are doing the guy right now and you steal these ideas, here's our proof. We'll come after you with our tens of dollars, of thousands of millions. Let's get to our overall opinions. Since this was my movie, we'll start at your end, Dave. We'll work our way down. Give us your overall opinion on 1991's The Guyver.
The Guyver. So I texted you guys right when I was watching it, because I finally got around to it, and I did not know what to expect, and it was so chock full of goodness. I love kung fu. I love the cheesiness that they leaned into, and if they leaned into the other way, I don't know that it would have detracted for me. Probably made it better, but I also like the cheesiness. So you can have both. I like both. I like cheese, and I like hardcore body horror and blood and guts. So I like it all. It is lacking a little bit in the artistry of film. Like a little bit better. That got a lot of names. Got a lot of cool costumes. Could have been, like you said, a little bit wet. Could have been a little more consistent. Leaned into some of that stuff. I mean, 91, you could have hired me as a choreography. I would have really got these fights down with some blood and guts in there. But overall, this is a really good movie. I have a feeling I might end up the low man here, but I'm gonna go a solid 7.
All right. Jeff, you're next up, my friend. What is your overall opinion and your rating for 1991's The Guyver?
Oh. I mean, like Dave says, it just has a bit of like everything, you know, bad kung fu and, you know, body horror, slapstick, and it could have had more serious parts. I mean, like certain actors played it more serious for most of the movie. If they would just kept it going through most of the rest of their parts.
Right.
You know, that would have been probably a little bit better. Like, okay, you guys are the straight actors. These guys are all just going to be crazy and weird. And that way, you know, you just have that separation of, like, who's the who's. And then the ending of the movie, it's a big cliffhanger with, was it CIA? And J.J. Walker and says dynamite at the end. So you could say his catchphrase from his show.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like a similar thing for like modern times. It's like, would that be like Ross from Friends showing up at the end of like The Guyver 2025 and being like, pivot? Like it doesn't,
Right.
it don't hit the same way. I don't. Continue.
They just probably paid him like, hey, oh, if I'm in this movie, I have to say dynamite.
He gets paid dynamites.
That's how he got paid. Yes, his catchphrase. I guess overall, I'd probably 3.
A 3?
7.
Oh, a 7. Oh shit.
Oh, 7.3.
7.3.
Okay,
Oh shit.
Your
The
audio
internet's-
cut out too, because I thought the same thing. I thought a 3. Yeah, that surprised me.
7.3.
Okay.
Interesting.
Some
Go
precision.
for the weird scoring.
I did I did notice the Flintstoning at the end when he's fighting the one dude that he rips the face off, which was totally fucking cool. And Mark Hamill and the girl are trying to run away from the baby T-Rex thing. They Flintstone that same scene a couple times. They run this way, and then the next time they run this way in front of the same scene, and then they run this way and run into the monster, and so kind of cheaped out on us there.
Yeah, I thought they displayed the size of the final monster pretty good. With what money I feel like they probably didn't have.
Yeah.
So I feel like they actually kind of did okay with that.
I thought it did great. Yeah, I thought that part was good.
This is gonna. So I think it's not great, but it can be fun. It's a fun movie if you fix your expectations and go into it with. Maybe you want more cheese in your Doritos taco from Taco Bell. You're like, add more cheese to this, please. And then that's about where Guyver sits. You're like, I want my elbow blade with a little bit more nacho cheese. Delicious, more. That's about where I live. I mean, it's from a different era. I mean, this is like 33 years old now, which is bonkers to think about. So a different time, but still, I still feel like it holds up okay if you're cool with the cheesiness of it. But like the original versions of it and the more recent version from like 10, 15 years ago, I think they are simply the better version if you want the Guyver. And then I've not seen the sequel since the 90s, so I don't know. But the comic versions, the anime versions are so good and kind of, I think I would prefer them to this. In a lot of ways, and wish that this would have stuck more closely to them. But at the same time, you can't judge it too harshly for that, because they're like, oh, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are so popular, we have to. But at the same time, I wonder, like, if they had stuck closer to what the Guyver actually was and not kind of pivoted a little bit, like, what could that movie have ended up being like? So weirdly enough, Chris votes low, 6.5 from Chris, which is the lowest score tonight. Even though I am not shitting on it at all. I love the Guyver. Jeff with the highest score. Jeff, you win.
That gives us an average score of 6.9.
It feels so weird. Like, I feel like I'm hyping it up. Still pretty good. I don't feel like I'm shitting on it that much, but at the same time, I'm like, there are other versions that are better than this. So maybe that's what it is. We'll come back maybe next season and hit 2. We'll see where we land on 2. So check it out. Check the Guyver out. It is worth it. But next week, let me check my notes, my schedule, see what we got on the to-do list. Jeff, it is a Jeff pick next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
Jeff, do you remember your pick, or do you want to?
Tormented
2018.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Same
director
as Grabbers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So check that out. Come back next week. And then, Dave, you do have a pick for the week after. Do you want to say it now so people can get on board?
No, I don't. I might be changing streams. I'm trying to gauge some public interest on which direction to go. And I was the movie I was going to go with, like 2 days after I said that, I was leaning towards Night of the Hunter. 2 days later, it got removed from Tubi.
Oh.
So Like, you son of a bitch.
Dave, go off on Tubi.
Oh.
Tubi rant. 5, 4, 3, go. Give them their shit.
God damn. Beautiful son of a bitch. Why did you make me love you like that and then tear my fucking heart out? Just be all things at all times. And how much demand was there to take that off? Like, does anybody even know who has the rights to this fucking ancient ass movie anymore? Like, you can't just leave it on there. Like, it ain't hurting nobody on there.
Yeah. Who's making the sense
I
of
don't
money from this rebroadcast at this point?
Yeah. Let's take it off, and when we put it back on 6 months from now, everybody will be clamoring to watch Night of the Hunter from 1957.
Right. So, if you've not caught on by now, Rabble, here's our order. It should be publicly known, I feel like. Chris, Jeff, Dave, special episode, repeat. One of us, also that same order repeats with the special episode, so you're going to have to keep track of that on your own time. We have enough trouble keeping track of it on our time. I think the next one's Dave. But
we're working on an app to make it clear.
Yeah. I can't read. That makes it real hard for a lot of this. I had to memorize a lot of buttons, and it's trial and error. Anyways, since Tim's here, my next pick will have maybe a guest that we've already had before. Tim. Are you still here, Tim? Do you know what I'm talking about, Tim? He's not talking.
He's right here with us. He's right there. There he is, Chris. There he is.
Oh,
right
see?
over my shoulder.
And that's why you guys need to be
Tim.
here Thursday nights at 8:30 so you can see what Tim said. Because I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to find out on your own and be here next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, that said, Dave, what was our final score for the Guyver? 6.9?
6.9. 69.
9.
Blah, blah, blah. So, come back here next week. We're doing Tormented 2018. Until then, peace out. Peace be with you. Let the aliens keep you. Nosferatu. Pickle juice.
I feel like Chris is casting some kind of weird spell on us. Let's get out of here.
I'm trying to waken the soldier.